In this lesson, we will review basic concepts of ratio and proportion. We will also solve some applications from chemistry, including multimole conversions in a chemical equation. Let's get started. So once again, we always begin these examples in our video series with very simple examples, and from there we're going to build up towards more complicated ones. And in this basic example, we have this information provided to us that 2 pounds of oranges equals $3. The question is to fill in the blanks first of all. What would be the cost of 4 pounds of oranges, 10 pounds, and then eventually 5 pounds? And then we're going to build from there. So let's begin by 4 pounds of oranges. So clearly we see there a doubling ratio, right? So from 2 pounds to 4 pounds, this is exactly double the amount. So one would expect that the price will exactly double. Therefore, you would expect there to get $6. So this is just by using intuition, no specific math formulas involved, right? Just by seeing the doubling pattern in this given question. What about the next one? For 10 pounds of oranges, once again, it's not too hard to observe that, from 2 to 10, they multiply by 5. This is a 5 times of the given quantity. So you would expect the price will multiply by 5 as well. So there the price will be $15. Now, what about the price of 5 pounds of oranges? That's where it gets slightly trickier because it's not a whole number multiple, although you may have realized going from 2 to 5, technically you have multiplied by 2.5. So you do the same thing over here and you multiply 3 by 2.5 and you'll get the answer. But sometimes the numbers are much messier and you don't see exact pattern. So what I'd like to show you is what would you do when the numbers are very messy. And once we develop this procedure, we will actually do things like, what if you have 3/4 of a pound of oranges? What would be the price of that? So it's good that we already have an idea what the answer will be for this one, but let's actually do the math. Okay, so in method number one, if we have 2 pounds of oranges is $3, first we're going to figure out, okay, what is 1 pound of oranges equal to how many dollars? So if 2 pounds is $3, 1 pound basically, it's going to be half of that amount, right? So divide 3 by 2. So you have 3 over 2. And in decimal language, that would be $1.5. So the price of 1 pound of oranges is $1.50. And from there, we can answer for 5 pounds of oranges, if 1 pound equals $1.50, then 5 pounds of oranges will be 5 times that amount, which will be 5 times $1.50. In other words, $7.50. Okay, so that was our method number one, converted to single units, and then from there we're able to get whatever we want, like 5 pounds in this case, multiplied by 5. Okay, method number two, this is the most commonly taught method in your math classes. We can actually set up some equations, some proportions. So what we know is that 2 pounds of oranges, so let's just say 2 pounds of oranges. So we do know that it's $3, so the ratio of 2 pounds of oranges to $3 must be the same as the ratio of, right now we want the price of 5 pounds of oranges we don't know the price, so let's just call that X dollars. So since all the units are exactly the same, like here on the numerator you have pounds of oranges, and denominator dollars and dollars, you could basically divide everything by those and just worry about now the actual values, 2 to 3, 5 to x. So here you have the ratio of 2 to 3 equals the ratio of 5 to x. And the way we solve these equations typically is cross multiply. And just as a refresher, if you have a single fraction on the left-hand side and a single fraction on the right-hand side, then you can cross multiply. That means 2 times x will be equal to 3 times 5. That's a very good technique to solve equations when you have single fractions on either side. So here we're going to have 2x equals 15. And to solve for x, since this is being multiplied by 2, divide both sides by 2. X equals 15 over 2. which is also 750. Okay, so we got the same answer that way. And the last approach is an approach that you might see in your science classes, specifically in chemistry. So we are trying to obtain the price for 5 pounds of oranges. And so the question is how many dollars? So I'm going to say, okay, the unknown is how many dollars, and the given is 5 pounds of oranges. Okay. Now here you would use a conversion factor. What we do know is based on the given information, 2 pounds of oranges equals $3. So since I want to end up with the dollar amount, basically these two are equivalent quantities, so I can put them on the top and the bottom of the fraction, and the ratio will be 1. So you're not changing anything. 5 pounds, basically you're only converting the units basically. The numerical values will be the same, will be preserved. Now, here's a question though. Would you put the 2 pounds on the top, $3 on the bottom, or vice versa? The 2 pounds on the bottom and $3 on the top. And always look at what unit you're trying to end up with. If it's dollars, you want to have the dollar amount on the top. So here we're going to have $3, and I'm just putting the dollars at the end. Usually, typically, most units we put them on the right-hand side, so just I'm being consistent there. And then the 2 pounds on the bottom, 2 pounds of oranges. So now we can cancel the pounds of oranges units. And look what we have in terms of numbers. 5 times 3 over 2, which is 15 over 2. So there we also have the same answer. In other words, $7.50 for 5 pounds of oranges. So each one of these gave us the same answer. And I think it's good to be familiar with each of these approaches. And depending on the problem, you may choose your selection, pick one of these. In chemistry, you're most likely going to use this approach. But knowing the other approaches, especially this one, will give you a choice, to check your answers sometimes doing a different method. Those are always good things to know. Now let's do another example. Okay, so as promised, how much would 3/4 of a pound of oranges would cost? So 3/4 pound of oranges. How can we determine the price for that? And once again, I copied down our basic given proportion. So 2 pounds of oranges equals $3. So now we want 3/4 pound of oranges. In the first part, I'm going to do it with the ratio proportion method that you usually do in your math classes. So let's set up the simple proportions. The ratio of 2 pounds to $3 on the left-hand side must be equal to, on the right-hand side, okay, we want 3/4 pound of oranges. So I put that in the numerator. Again, the important thing is if your pounds of oranges are in the numerator on this side, you want to put that quantity in the numerator of the other side. You must match, you must be consistent. Whatever you did on the left-hand side, follow the same pattern on the right-hand side with this approach. And the question mark, how many dollars? That's the unknown. And I can replace now the question mark simply by x. And we can solve this equation by using the cross multiply method. So simply multiply 2 times x equals to 3 times 3/4. So 2x equals 3/4 times 3. And let's simplify the right-hand side. You can regard the right-hand side as 3 over 4 times 3 over 1. So product of two fractions in a way. Multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms, and you get 9/4. So now you have 2x is equal to 9/4. How can we solve for x? We're going to need to get rid of that times 2 next to x, right? And we will do that by dividing both sides by 2. Now dividing both sides by 2 can also be written as follows. You can basically multiply both sides by 1/2. That's the same idea there. Multiply by 1/2. So the 2's cancel there. And on the right hand side you have 9/4 times 1/2. If you simplify that, you get 9/8, or as a decimal, this value, and typically dollars and cents rounded to nearest hundredth, so we have $1.13 for 3/4 of a pound of oranges. Now let's do the same thing with the approach from chemistry, and you will see that that approach really saves time. Okay, so given value does not change. We still have this. Um, so first of all, on the left-hand side, I'm writing what we're supposed to end up with. We want to know how many dollars. And on the right-hand side, what's given. We're trying to determine the price of 3/4 of a pound of oranges. So I wrote down what's given. And here is our conversion that was given to us. 2 pounds of oranges equals $3. So now use that and decide where you would place the 2 pounds and where you would place the $3. So if you're trying to cancel out the pounds units, and to be left with the dollars units, so the dollar figure should be on the top, right, and the pounds value should be on the bottom. So let's put it in that way. So it's going to be $3 will be on the top, and 2 pounds of oranges on the bottom. Again, the idea being this conversion factor represents 1. It doesn't change the value of anything, but it changes into the correct units. In this case, from pounds, we're going to dollars, basically. So we're going to get the correct value for dollars. And simplify this. You have 9/8. So in one swift move, one simple setting up there, instead of doing several steps like we did earlier, you can actually get the result. So the answer will be, first cancel out the units, pounds of oranges from the top, cancel with pounds of oranges from the bottom. So we have 3 times 3 is 9, over 2 times 4 is 8, and the remaining units are dollars. So 9/8 dollars, in other words, roughly $1.13. So that will be the price of 3/4 of a pound of oranges based on the given information. Okay, in the next few examples, again, you may decide to choose just one or the other method. I may, again, show you both methods at times, but I would say it's up to you. And if for your chemistry classes, I want to encourage also the use of the method that we see on the right-hand side.